possibility. Not like hurricanes. Alright guys, so we are going to talk about grief, loss, and our response to it for Camp Kesem. And so, you know, we're dealing with a very sensitive topic when it comes to cancer, with all these kids and also with counselors as well. And so this is a very important presentation, as well as, you know, training for us to be able to know how to respond and also be prepared to be able to help these kids in our own capacity in the best way possible for us. So, what is our number one responsibility when it comes to helping campers with grief and loss? What do you guys think? Serena?
I think we've talked about this a couple times, but like listening is, I think, the most important thing that we can do, because we really aren't like trained professionals. Like, we're not those type of counselors. So, right. So like, I don't really know if we could give like a whole lot of advice or like professional advice, but like we could listen and just be there for them and make them feel loved and supported.
Most definitely. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Funds and then kill.
I just want to support that. I agree. I think like our job is to listen and to be there. Because like Camp Kesem's motto tagline is like a child's friend for encounter cancer, and like that's. I mean, I'm literally just saying what Sarah said, but like we are there to be their friend who can like be sad with them when they need to be sad. Who like provides that kind of support.
Right. Thank you.
I was going to say, making sure that we create a comfortable environment for them, making sure that they know that they can trust you to like be able to tell you like how they're feeling, and like just like family and stuff like that. Just, you know, like making sure that like telling them, like, don't try to offer solutions to things. Just say like, I'm sorry, that's really hard. And you know, just like being there in that way, because like friends, like we're not trained to know how to help them that well. Like, you know, the best thing we can do is just get to know them, be there for them, and make sure that they're for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you for all those responses. You guys are right on point with those. And you'll have to excuse me, I've been sick for a couple of days, and so my voice is a little off. Anyway, and Bolo's going to jump in if I can't talk anymore. So, all right. So, just a simple response to that is to create an emotionally safe place. All right. So we're going to go through this training how we are actually creating this emotionally safe place. To do that, we're going to start out with a little activity. So, if you guys have pen or paper, you can use that or just talk with each other. But what do you guys know and understand about brushing teeth? And how, like, do you actually brush your teeth? It's probably something we don't think about much because we've done it our whole lives. But, yeah, hopefully, right? So, if you guys want to talk in your little groups and talk about brushing teeth for a second. Their teeth.
We can share in our group.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we talked about how you brush for 2 minutes, and you do it morning and night, or after you eat, after every meal. If your dentist will tell you that. And then you have to brush in like circular motion, like small circles.
Yeah.
And brush your tongue, but apparently you can't gag because that makes natural.
No, you can.
It's gross.
Just don't invite them.
Not invited to my toothbrushing party.
So, I'm trying to think of something with this. Who gets their toothbrush wet before they put the toothpaste on?
Oh, if you don't, that is...
Who puts the toothpaste on and then gets it wet? Okay. What do you do?
You don't wet it?
Straight up.
No. Who doesn't use water? That's disgusting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I know more about teeth.
That's true.
Nobody else.
You do. Alright, who else wants to share with us how they brush their teeth? Any other different ways, you know, how we can clean our teeth better?
You gotta make sure you get this part. That's where
That's
the most
true.
bacteria is.
Yeah, it's still valid.
The backside of your
Like the backside. Oh, your bottom. That's where the most
All right,
bacteria
so
collects.
there is actually kind of a wide variety of how people brush their teeth. I'm sure none of us do it exactly the same. So this is something very simple that we do in everyday life and that everybody has to do. So just imagine, how different. This is why we're talking about teeth. Imagine how different it is for these kids experiencing grief in their lives. These kids range from 6 to 18 years old. They've all experienced grief. They've all experienced something along with cancer. Even these little 6-year-olds, you are going to be so amazed at how understanding in their own way they are of dealing with grief. And so it's important for us to realize that everybody is different, but it's important for us to also realize how we need to react even though these situations are different. So that's why we're talking about teeth. So just a couple of quick rules before we go into this. Can I get a couple volunteers here? Or where did we leave off with Sunday Strength? Do you remember? Yeah? Do you have a question? Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Read the first part as well.
It is unethical and potentially damaging to the campers for someone without the proper training and certification to try and help or deliver therapy.
If someone is seeking help, talk to them. Then find a mental health professional and can provide their certified.
If someone says anything about hurting themselves or wanting to hurt others, find a mental health professional and can provide their certified.
Okay, so we kind of touched on this a little bit. We're not mental health professionals. We are far from that. I remember my first year, I went through cancer with my dad. So I thought to myself, wow, I'm going to be able to talk with these kids like I understand them. But that wasn't my job going into camp. It's not. I'm there to be a support to them, and they were a support to me. But these are just kind of to help us realize some of the things going into camp with that aspect. Us being a mental health professional is not really letting the kids be kids, in my opinion. But it is important to be able to be open and have them talk to us. And if it requires, us talking to a mental health professional, that's great. A lot of times it won't require that. Actually, most of the time it won't. But if it gets to a point where, we think they're in danger or other people are in danger, then we would ultimately talk to a mental health professional. It's not like we're denying them an opportunity to talk about cancer and talk about their grief. We're definitely open to that, and we are there for them. But there's a difference between being a counselor and being like a mental health professional. Sass, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right. Cool. Anybody else have questions about that? All right. So, what should we do? There are 3 different steps or 3 different ways that we can be looking how to help them in their grief. And so, can we just read these 3 points really quick? Wherever we left off.
The emotional task. They want to express how they feel.
The growing task, they want to fully.
Okay, so these are 3 different things that the kids are going through that we can kind of spot where their grief is a little bit, right? So we're going to go through the thinking task here. I think this is extremely important. It says every camper will be in a different place when it comes to understanding what has happened or is happening to their parent or guardian. Their understanding of cancer, death, illness, hospitals, etc. can be affected by, ? What do you guys think? So for a 6-year-old, how are they going to be affected by cancer or death, or how are they going to perceive that? Yeah.
I think a lot how their closest people around them react to it. That's probably how they're going to react as well.
Right. Anybody else?
I know we talked a lot about neglect with the children today. I feel like maybe that would change around them. You know, the whole motive is just the important thing going forward. So it was
Right, most definitely. Some other ones are like age. Um, Depending on the age, they're going to understand it in a different way, right? For 6-year-olds, for like 16-year-olds maybe they're going to have to take on more responsibilities, right? Take over the house a little bit, which is very difficult to do. Like when my dad was in the hospital and my mom was with him, me and my sister, like we had to take care of the household, and so that was just a very different feeling, right? And I was affected in a different way than my little brother was affected. Whereas his parents were gone and his older siblings were trying to help him. And then in my opinion, it was, I'm trying to help my little brother get through school, get through all these different things, right? So age definitely affects that. Siblings, that's another thing that I just kind of mentioned. You're going to see your siblings in a different way. Maybe if you're younger, your older siblings aren't going to be as open. Maybe they're sad more often. 6-year-olds are very keen. 8-year-olds, everybody's keen to other people's emotions. As well as with school. Maybe they're going to be affected in school. Maybe they aren't going to have enough time to work on some things. Also, there's just a lot of different other factors. So, with all these factors, I think it's a little,
Is it one other thing I think that gets mentioned at our camp is like being majority Mormon.
Yeah.
Definitely will affect how the kids see death and cancer and illness and hospitals.
Most definitely. Yeah. All right, thanks, you guys. So, that's a lot of different situations to handle. So, once again, let's just read through these things to kind of understand our role. So, where did we leave off?
It's me.
Okay, awesome,
It
thanks.
is our job to listen, provide positive social support, and acknowledge what they understand about their parent or guardian situation.
It is not our job to teach them what cancer is, how it is diagnosed, offer our opinion on the prognosis, or try to correct their ideas or beliefs.
Okay. All right. So I think these are two general, great guidelines for us. How do you guys think? What are good ways that we can listen and provide positive social support? What have you guys done in the past with friends or family or whatever situation you've been in? Yeah.
I think it's important to realize that they're not going to grieve the same way. And went to one of our campus parents' funerals a couple weeks ago, and it was interesting to see how our 8-year-old sister reacted versus the 15-year-old. The 15-year-old, I didn't see her cry any time. And as weird as that was for me to see, kind of important, because she didn't want to be treated like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. She just wanted to have someone to talk to, whether it was just about boys or clothes or whatever. She just wanted someone to be there and to love her. And so understanding that kids are going to grieve differently and they're going to go through those stages differently as everyone does, and making sure that you're willing to be there and listen to them through whatever stage they're at.
I think it's such an important skill to be able to listen and not interrupt what they're saying or how they're feeling, but to just be able to listen. I think it's a skill that we all need to work on and all to be better in. And from my personal opinion, when you have cancer in your family, you're just searching for somebody to talk to about it. You don't really quite understand your feelings, but you just want somebody to be able to connect with you in a way where you feel support and where you feel comfort. I made a couple mistakes talking to people about cancer because I was searching for somebody to understand me. I had one friend, she's amazing. I don't blame her for what she did. But I opened up completely to her. And it was a little unfair to her because she didn't understand what I was going through. But at that point, I didn't understand that myself. And so, I went to her and I was talking, and at that point in time, my dad wasn't doing very well, and there were so many visitors coming to our house, which is awesome. They loved talking to my dad, but literally they were taking up all of my dad's good time. And when we were alone, we didn't have my dad because he was asleep because he was tired from talking to other people. So I told my friend this, and I was really frustrated. I was really sad, and I needed somebody to express it to. She wasn't the right person, but she ended up going to her mom, telling her mom. Then her mom called our Relief Society president. Then the Relief Society president told everybody in the world that Scooter doesn't like visitors. And I got in a lot of trouble, to say the least. But like that stemmed from, I don't blame her. She was just trying to help me. But what I'm saying for this story is sometimes we just need to listen and not necessarily like try and go above and beyond. Really, what you guys need to realize is listening is going above and beyond for these kids. Having them be able to talk to somebody is going beyond, above and beyond, and being comfortable with you guys. So just realize that. And realize that when you're listening to them and connecting with them on an emotional level, that this is what is so beneficial for them. Okay? So, it's really not our job to talk about cancer. We don't understand that. We have no clue what's going to happen to their parents. We just kind of need to kind of stay away from that, to be honest. Just focus on them, focus on what they're saying, and focus on listening. Yeah.
I think going back to that second one, we've had that happen in the past where people have given their opinion on certain things related to cancer, and it's come off very hurtful to the kids. And it's never their intention to hurt the kids, but it's just important to kind of just stay away from that. Even if you have your own opinions that you formulated, like just keep them to yourself, especially during camp counseling with the kids, because you have no idea what the other people are going through, and just keep your opinions, your thoughts to yourself, even if you aren't an expert in whatever it is.
It's not your place in this point in time. You're not their doctor, and I agree completely with what Bolo said. And so just to add to that, each cancer is such a broad thing, but each single instance or experience with cancer is different as well. And so really we have no place in giving our opinion about cancer. So yeah, fun.
It's kind of piggybacking off of exactly what you said. Just I know a lot of us had cancer in our families, and it's really easy to want to relate to the kids. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, being anything that you feel like I had the same kind of emotions my dad would say. But it's bad if we monopolize the conversation and make it oh yeah, I felt that way, but this is how I got over it, and you should do this too. Because just like the Queen said, those two kids who were from the same family dealt with things totally differently. So just because you got over it or you dealt with it in some way doesn't mean it's gonna work for that kid. So empathy is great, advice usually isn't, unless it's specifically asked for advice.
Right, I agree. I think that's a great point. Does anybody else have comments on that? Sass?
Even if they ask for your advice, aren't we still not supposed to give that into your counseling?
So what do you mean ask for advice? Maybe give them.
So if they keep telling you what's wrong in their life and they ask you what they should do.
I would just you're not going to avoid it completely, but I would just kind of encourage them to do what they feel most comfortable with. I don't think that's necessarily giving your opinion. I just think we need to show a level of support in a way, without giving a strict opinion. I don't know if that makes sense. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think it would be right for us to just completely ignore them, right? Do you guys have comments on that?
Yeah, I just feel maybe that's a point. If they're oh, what should I do? You could even ask them a question. Sometimes they know what to do. They just need validation or whatever. And so sometimes if it's well, what do you think you should do? Based on what you've told me, what do you think you should do? Kind of keep turning it back on them and let them think it out for themselves. Because I think that's really what they're trying to do. But I think it's when the point, I don't know, when you start being well, I were you, this is probably I would do this and this and this You know,
Yeah,
like I really feel like that's our place. But like,
Right.
I think there's ways that you can still like help them and like give them that validation they need. Like let them talk it out with you. Like, what do you think you should do? And oh, well, I mean, based on this, like maybe I should do this. You know, I think that's a cool idea. Or like, you know, I think you can validate them, but like let them come up with their ideas.
I think that's a good point of listening as well. Sometimes when you're listening, you do say a couple things just to further the discussion a little bit. So I think that's a good way to approach the class, is just to kind of keep asking them questions to help them like figure it out. I guess you're gonna have to fill that out for yourself if you feel like you should say something. I would say be very cautious with it. I can't tell you how to react like in every single situation. I trust all of you guys like react in the right way. It's just difficult. Try and avoid definitely giving your opinion on that sort of thing. Did you have a comment?
Oh yeah, it was just along the lines of that. Like I'm in the direct practice class, undergraduate level's not like therapy yet, but basically we talked about that, and therapists don't give advice. The thing that they are able to help with is like different modalities to put the problem into, like maybe cognitive behavioral therapy, like just put it into a specific like thing and help them along with that. But they don't give advice for situations like that. What they do is exactly what Stephanie said, with guiding people to their own solutions, because people are the experts in their lives, and they know what they need best, and just helping them to kind of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that. I think that is probably the best way we can approach those situations. All right, any other comments, guys, on that? Okay. All right, so if you guys just want to get into small groups, take about 5 minutes to discuss these questions among yourselves. Yeah, go ahead. Come back together. Okay, so who can give us an answer for the first question? I guess we kind of are, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of already talked
Yeah.
about it. We were talking about, kind of funny, but we were talking about preaching the gospel, fiction on this. Because we feel like it's like the best techniques for listening. As far as like, number one, don't be trying to think of what you're going to say. A good listener is just listening and really dedicated to that. And then asking like those clarifying questions, like, so if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is blah, blah, blah. And usually when you ask a question like that, the counselor or person will be like, yeah, but, and then just keep going, you know. Right. So
those are great techniques.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. All right, so what about question 2? Yeah.
I think what we were talking about earlier is just that don't try and like override it with your own experience. Just like I understand that this is hard and like I'm sorry that sucks. And just like let them keep talking.
Right.
You wouldn't like be like, yeah, I know this sucks because I had the same thing happen to me or whatever, you know.
Right. Yep. Awesome. Thank you. That is a great way. Okay. And then the third one, I think this is actually kind of hard. Bolo and McQueen.
Leave it alone. Like the kids aren't like trying to share facts to be like the next oncologist, or like they're gonna give the cure to cancer. Like even if it's like way like completely wrong, they're like trying to express themselves, and by saying like no, it's actually this way, it's kind of like they'll more than likely just gonna shut down and like not talk to you about more important things. So unless it's like super like necessary, which more than often it's not, just let it go.
Yeah, I agree. McQueen?
We were kind of talking about like their assessment of like their own emotions and like the situations going on, and a lot of times, one, they're not certified to correct them in that at all, like in any way, shape, or form. But also, if those are their feelings and they're valid, and it's not your place to invalidate them. And if that's truly like how they see the situation, then that is their own fact and that is their reality. And making sure that you still validate it whether or not you think that's the right way to handle it or whatever. It's not your place. You're not certified to do that. Most therapists aren't even certified.
You know, Gibbs, did you have a?
I was just gonna add, like, kind of go on with this, like, you don't get to choose how they feel. Like, you don't get to decide how their situation is affecting them. So just kind of to go along with what she said, like, just keep that in mind. Like, even if you think, oh, well, I probably wouldn't do this, or, like, I would probably do this, like, if that's what they're, like, thinking, and that's how, like, whatever situation has happened, and if that's how it's making them feel, like, that's truly how they feel. Like, that's not wrong.
I agree. And I just imagine, put yourselves in their shoes. If you're telling a counselor something, and all the counselor cared about was to, like, correct them, they'd be like, oh, like, he doesn't really care, or she doesn't really care about my feelings. They're just correcting me on what I'm saying. Like, I think those are great. That's great advice for us to continue as a counselor, as well as how we can react in that certain situation. All right, so next, kids definitely show their emotions in different ways, right? So we're going to go through a couple of different ways that we can possibly see, you know, how they're reacting, you know, what they're saying, their behavior, that sort of thing. So with words, some kids like to express their words. That's how they show their grief. And so we're just going to read through these points here. Where did we leave off with the reading? Awesome. Carson?
Listen carefully without judgment or criticism.
And then just where were we at?
Cabin chat. Pardon ceremony and other kinds of talk.
Take time and make time to listen and call about these campers about non-intrusive.
When statements like I understand, I know, and you statements like that's tough. You were great to show that.
Okay, so going back a little bit, I think Rapunzel made a good distinction of using the word I understand. I think that's try and like show that emotion, maybe using a different word. I think the way Rapunzel's trying to portray it is the correct way, not going into like your story, but focusing on them still. Because like we said, each experience is different, and so it is kind of hard to say I understand and I know, because we don't exactly know how they feel, and we don't exactly know and understand their situation. So that's kind of why we try and avoid those like, specific words, because it's kind of hard to portray that as well. I mean, it's not possible. And so, you know, words such as that sounds tough, or like you're afraid to share that with me, that shows like the support towards them as well. So just know this is very important. Oh, whoops. Puns.
You can finish what you're going to say.
No, you go ahead if you were going to come.
I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah.
I think that last one, you're afraid to share that with me. Statements like that are really important for us to make, because it's like strength-based and empowering for kids to hear that like they're brave. I do, maybe it's like not time for me to say this, but I think we should be careful about saying like, you're so strong, because a lot of kids feel like they have this mantle where they aren't allowed to show their emotions. And if we say things like, you're so strong, like, to deal with this. I've had kids talk to me and be like, I can't handle it anymore, I can't be a strong one all the time. So like, use things like that. I think you are brave as a specific like emotions and traits are really great. Do those.
Yeah. I think these are very straightforward, right? And it's not really beating around the bush either with these kids. So I like that. So just know there are certain times where they will be talking about, you know, maybe harder things like cabin chat or empowerment ceremony. But just realize that other than those things, there are opportunities that they may talk to you. They may pull you aside, or I don't know. There's just opportunities for them to do so. So just be aware of that. Also, so our camp involves a lot of play, right? We have, you know, water games, we have color wars, we have the ropes course. There's so many different things. But, I mean, who's had kids in their groups not want to do those things? Yeah, there's been quite a bit, right? Do you think there's a reason why they don't want to do those things? What do you guys think? Ernie?
I think just like from the experience that I've seen, and I could be wrong, but I think a lot of that is like a lack of confidence. I think they're afraid of like what people think of them, especially if they don't feel like they're good at those things.
Right.
Makes them just feel uncomfortable if it's out of their comfort zone.
I think that's a good point. Anybody else have a comment? Here and then there.
Maybe just that they don't like have enough energy for it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times like activities take a lot of energy and a lot of like social just energy, and
right.
some kids just don't have that, at all times.
Right, I agree.
I think there's a lot of reasons. Something that now I'm thinking is what playing represents for them. And when we think of our own experience as young adults, like for us, the playing doesn't represent the same thing as what it does for children. But like think on your friends that maybe are going through things and they don't go out, they don't talk. Like that's the same thing for the kids. But for them, it's playing. Like that's the way they express certain things. So maybe there's something in their lives that's really going well, and it's expressed in playing.
Yeah. I think this one is a little bit more obscure in the fact that, maybe they actually just really don't like the activity. That is a valid point. Maybe they just don't want to do that and they want to do something else, which is okay. That's fine. We can do something else with them. But also, I mean, like you said, maybe, it's because they're feeling a little bit down. Maybe they don't want to interact. Maybe they don't want to talk with other kids. And so I think it is a little bit harder to tell, but I think it's something that we need to be conscious about, okay? Because I think all of us have experienced a time where maybe we just feel down and we don't really want to be talking to other people. We'd rather be alone, right? And so just recognize that and realize that this is a possibility. And note in the training it says play helps kids to learn leadership, communication, social boundaries, negotiation, self-expression, as well as responsibility. So I think it is important to help the kids be active, help them be involved with something. If they want to do a different activity, then that's great. Let's maybe have a couple of other kids do another activity if they want. Or, if we can facilitate those different aspects of playtime at camp, then I think we're doing a good job. But also, just be aware that these kids might be going through something if they're just not willing to participate in these activities. All right, and then for behavior, we're going to look at this document really quick. You guys are going to go over it with your group. Of just some of the behaviors that you might confront and how you can actually react to them. Oh, whoops, that's the first slide. All right, so just take a couple minutes with your group, kind of talk over these and how campers may react in different certain situations with their behavior. Go ahead. Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you restate that for us?
That's right. Yes, I can. So, this sheet is just to kind of give you an idea of how kids can react with certain behaviors. And so, just what I'm wanting you guys to do is just to kind of read through this. If you see something that kind of pops out to you with a behavior, you can talk about it with your group. It also gives you some suggestions at the bottom of how to help in that certain situation. So maybe just find a couple that you can talk about with these points and discuss them of how you could react to them if you're at camp with the kids. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. I did need to clarify that. Thanks for telling me. So we don't really have time to go over all these. I just want to stress that these kids really are having a hard time. Their lives aren't normal, quote unquote. They're dealing with and struggling with normalcy, and so they can be lashing out or responding in a lot of different ways. So just recognize these. There's different possibilities. And definitely some ways that you can respond and help these kids. So, all right. Okay, so in closing, I just want to say, be there for them and listen to them. And if possible, we can involve the mental health professional. They're a great resource for us at camp. But definitely those first 2 points. I think if you do those, no matter what you are as a counselor, no matter how your personality is, you will be a great counselor for these kids if you're just willing to be there for them and to listen. So, do you guys have any last questions about this presentation before we take a little break? The next one? Okay, all right, thanks you guys.